Hey guys, I'm Jax and I love movies. But every now and then, there comes a film so bad that it makes me go, do I love movies? So, The Exorcism, a truly, shockingly disappointing horror film. I found this to be one of the most unpleasant, dull, boring experiences I've ever had in a cinema in my entire life. I found this to be such a wasted potential of such an interesting and cool concept. The plot of this film is awesome. The plot of The Exorcism is essentially a new nightmare, but for the exorcist. The film is about Russell Crowe, a troubled ex-alcoholic actor who's trying to come back into the acting world or whatever. And he's like, I'm gonna star in a remake of The Exorcist. And during the shoot, like a new nightmare, maybe there's an exorcism on the set. Essentially, Russell Crowe gets possessed by a demon. So the best part of this film is the premise. And honestly, outside of the actual premise, the entire execution in every single conceivable way is just lacking. It's just so completely underdeveloped. It doesn't do any of the things properly. It's like a film within a film where there's like the making of a film, and it's like this troubled actor trying to handle his past demons and try and, bring it out in this performance. But it doesn't really work. It doesn't really come across as an interesting kind of exploration of this troubled actor. Yeah, I don't even know with this film, man. This shocked me with how bad it was. I found it to be overwhelmingly dull and boring. Every single kind of facet of filmmaking was just so subpar, but also just half-baked. There are some heavy themes and concepts and ideas at play, but they're so lazy and half-assed that it feels almost insensitive and kind of mean and just cruel to mention these things but not really delve into them. It feels kind of insincere, I suppose would be the better word, to be ooh, heavy themes about priests and children and past traumas. What do you think about that? But they just say that and don't do anything with it. So it feels kind of insincere and kind of lazy. And I'd almost be insulted if I wasn't just so bored. I'm too bored and I already don't care enough about this film to be insulted by how they treat these heavy themes and ideas. The script is just nothing. It's this meta commentary, oh, we're making a remake of The Exorcist, but they're also doing The Exorcist in the film. A film happens to the people making a film. It's it's crazy, I guess, but not really. It's just a new nightmare. But a new nightmare is so clever and interesting. And this is just so derivative and lazy and half-assed. It doesn't really even do it. The exorcism and the demon and all the vaguely supernatural stuff, it's so underdeveloped. It's so nothing. Suddenly moments will happen and characters will say something, or sometimes a character will say something at the start and they're blessing themselves and they're ooh, don't you know what happens on films like The Exorcist and other horror films? Horrifying things happen. But later on, they're not the one to be hey, I think The Exorcist is happening. They're just also there. They're just there. They don't, it's just why did you set them up to be that type of character when later it won't pay off to be that type of character? Things just happen. There's a priest in it, and there's oh, there's going to be this intense thing with these two types of characters, but not really. And then at one point, there is a moment in the film, because the whole point of the film is there's this troubled, drunk, ex-alcoholic actor, and he starts acting up and be oh, something's going on with him, man. But they all think he's just a drunk or withdrawing, or it's very unclear what they think's actually happened to him. But what's very clear is that he is being possessed. He is clear. He's got demon black eyes, and and so for some of it, it's okay, they think he's withdrawing or whatever, sure. But there is a moment in this film where something happens that is inhuman to the point of just being so inhuman. I'm okay, the film's gonna kick off now. But no, something impossible happens. So crazy impossible. The next scene, they're oh, Dad, his daughter's oh, Dad, how dare you be alcoholic still, or withdrawing now, or are you on drugs? It's very unclear what she thinks is happening. What she doesn't think is happening is an exorcism, or he's being possessed, which is clearly what is happening. It's just, things just happen. And then at some point, she's I guess it's a possession. Because we're just at that point in the movie where they gotta do a bigger The Exorcist. And they just do The Exorcist, but imagine all the terrible reinterpretations, or just, when a show's we're just doing The Exorcist this week on a horror show or whatever. Just imagine the worst one of that. That's the best thing you've ever seen in your entire life compared to this. It is so uninspired. It is so derivative. It's so lazy. I don't even know why they released this movie. Honestly, it's so bad, I actually feel bad about how bad it is. Like, it's not, like, fun to dislike it. I, like, left being like, oh, I just feel so flat. I have no energy. I feel like it sucked away my enjoyment of film. And I don't mean any meanness or harsh words to anyone who created this, the writers and directors. I'm sure they're all lovely, but they totally didn't make, like, a good thing. And it overwhelmed me with how much I hated this film. So the film is called The Exorcism, and you might be thinking, hey, that's actually really similar, like unnecessarily and maybe confusingly similar to maybe the most, like arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest horror film of all time, The Exorcist. Yeah. I think there's a reason for that. Let me put on my conspiracy theorist hat and break down why I think this film is called The Exorcism. Because I think they are strategically trying to trick people. Because this film was originally called The Georgetown Project, which is what the film in the film is called. So it was originally titled The Georgetown Project, but now it's called The Exorcism. And I think the reason for that isn't to do with the fact that it's, you know, doing an exorcism in a film, making a film about The Exorcist or a remake of The Exorcist. So like, yeah, it can be similar or whatever. No. I think a producer saw this film, went, oh no, oh, this is atrocious. So they saw the film and they panicked and they went, oh, we are going to make no money at the box office, despite the fact that horror always makes money. Even bad horror films make money. This ain't making any money. We're not going to make our money back. So we need to like trick people, manipulate them. We need to hopefully get some kind of views and maybe, if we're really lucky, someone to accidentally buy it on streaming thinking it's The Exorcist. Like they see it and go, oh, The Exorcist, click it. And they start watching and they go, oh no, this is called The Exorcism. God damn, I paid $3.50 for this. And they just like throw up and they just try and, you know, get their money back, but they can't. And they're like, I guess I'll watch it. And then they get like 5 minutes in and they go, I guess that $3.50 is just like down the drain. So what I'm saying is that they changed the title of this film to be confusingly similar to The Exorcist to confuse people, to like piggyback off the name recognition of that thing. Or even better, to maybe even piggyback off the name recognition of Russell Crowe's previous film, which he happened to play a priest who does exorcisms in The Pope's Exorcist. So maybe you watch The Pope's Exorcist, and then you see a film, Russell Crowe's on the cover, and you're like, oh, The Exorcism! I just saw the previous, this must be the sequel! Or maybe a prequel, you watch it, and you're like, what? This isn't a prequel and or sequel. What is this? It's nothing. It's trash. It tricked you. It tricked you. Asylum style. You know how they used to make like Transformers or whatever they called them? Just cheap, horrible, terrible movies to trick grandmas into buying them when they're at Kmart or whatever to give their grandkids, and the kids like, oh, this isn't Transformers. This is Transmorphins or whatever. It's that. It's just that for the streaming age. Am I saying it's as bad as Asylum films? No. I would never accuse Asylum of making something this trash.